Jen Mize moved to Australia from the United States several years ago, and that has been to Australia's benefit, as this extraordinary performer has released 2 solo albums and one in collaboration with Mark Sholtez called Twilight on the Trail. Last year, she released an album with her relatively new band, Jen Mize and the Rough and Tumble. The new single is Hail Mary. We're going to talk about that and the Rough and Tumble and maybe some other things. Hi, Jen.
Hi, Sophie. Thank you for having me. It's so good to be here.
I'm very happy to have you because I'm going to actually go straight into it and start with the obvious, your voice. Because your voice, I have sat with my mouth literally hanging open when I've seen you perform live, and just thought, this is an instrument that comes from a very different place, I think, to an earthly place. When did you realize that you had this instrument?
Well, I mean, I had a real affinity to music as a young child. Like, I think my mom got me into the Suzuki method violin when I was 3 years old. So I always knew I wanted to do music, and I started singing to myself, like on the school bus on the way to school. I was one of those kids that I sang to myself, so the other kids thought I was really weird. Like, because I just like listen to the radio and sing out the window. I was so introverted, but like, I mean, I didn't sing loud. I just was like, sing the songs. So that like when I graduated high school, like all my high school friends were like, we think you're the best chance to like, become a recording artist or, be in music somehow. Because yeah, I started doing it really young, but I don't think I knew. Look, I have a big instrument, but I just for the sake of young singers up and coming, like you can always add to your instrument and your range by putting in the time. Like, it's not, a lot of people like to think it's just this like gift that you woke up with, and I mean, it's really just a lot of hours in and figuring out slowly how to control it, really, and how to breathe, really. Like, breathing is important.
Yeah. And the subject of control is interesting because it does suggest that it can come through like a force or just like a sound, really, like a sound through your vocal cords, and that you have to learn how to manipulate it in a way that can express.
It's kind of like, if you go to the gym for the first time and you do a squat and you don't have good form,
Hmm.
it's like that. Your vocal cords are a muscle, and you have to learn how to control them. And because it's not something you can see,
Hmm.
it's something that you have to learn how to feel it.
Hmm.
And just like, if you do something at the gym that's outside of your range, you can hurt yourself. It's the same with the vocal cords.
Right.
So, and then you've got the rest of the apparatus, all the breathing, all the resonating space. Your head is full of resonating space, like a violin is full of resonating, or a guitar. Like, the actual chambers are funny. So you have to get your head around that. It takes a little while. It takes a lot of experimentation, a lot of trial and error, a lot of error.
Has playing an instrument helped you understand that about your voice? So playing guitar, for example, you're just talking about the resonating space. Has that helped you get a sense of the voice as instrument?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't play guitar until after I started singing, but I played cello at a really young age. And um, I stopped playing violin pretty early on because I just, didn't have the attention span to stick with it. But about 11 years old, I picked up the cello. And about that time, I started taking singing seriously.
Mhm.
And yeah, I've always equated being a singer a lot with like being an instrumentalist. It's just your instrument is different,
Mhm.
and it takes just as much time and effort to get good tone, to get good phrasing, to get long phrases, to be able to do things. It's time in.
So you mentioned when you were leaving high school that your classmates had said that you were the one with the best chance to become a recording artist. So what had you been doing up till that stage? Were you in bands? Was it choir?
I
Was
was
it?
in, I played in the orchestra. I was in the choir. I sang madrigals and wore Renaissance costumes. I did anything I could, try to like do the music thing. I was a big ham there for a while. I did a lot of musical theater. But I kept running into the thing with musical theater that if it wasn't really grounded, the campy stuff I guess didn't really call to me. The more believable, grounded in reality stuff called to me, which
Mhm.
I guess that's why I ended up doing, writing music and recording music. I think I was really searching for authenticity, and what better place to find authenticity than my own thoughts and songwriting.
Mm.
I think that's how I kind of got there. I'm not really sure. This is kind of all over the shop, to be honest with you, Sophie. It's a long journey.
Well, and I guess also it's a natural evolution. You're not thinking about documenting it or explaining it to someone down the track.
No,
It's
yeah.
just you.
Yeah, you're just trying to find your way. And I was, like I got into music early, but I was kind of a late bloomer when it came to songwriting. Like I didn't songwrite. I didn't start songwriting until I was about 26, 28 before I started taking it seriously, because I really didn't play guitar until then.
Mhm.
I picked it up on a cruise ship bored. Like one of our stage managers, like, I'm leaving, I'm selling this guitar. I'm like, I'll take it. I'll try to learn some, and I learned some, Tracy Chapman tunes on ultimateguitar.com, and taught myself a couple chords. And within the next 3 or 4 years, I started writing songs, and yeah, and here I am today with you.
That's so you were performing on that cruise ship by the sound of it.
I was singing in the shows, again, musical theater, yeah, review type of, lots of costumes, feathers, Vegas style.
Yeah, right. I have heard that from people who've been on cruising country that sometimes, when the ship is pitching and rolling a little bit, performing can be quite a challenge.
Look, I have two bad knees because of it. Like my knees are super bad because I did cruise ships for about 5 years. And I was a singer, but I was on a very small ship, so they required me to move well. So I
Right.
did a lot more dancing than I had ever done, and high heels on a moving ship going like this.
Yeah.
That's a lot of knee grippage.
Yes.
I never fell on stage. I fell off stage, but I never fell on stage. So yeah, no serious injuries, but some old knees here. Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing I wanted to say about your voice before I move on to songs and songwriting is, it's one thing to have that control and that technique and the tone, things like that, to be able to know how to use the instrument. But I always think that in a voice like yours and your voice, there's something else there. It's something that is not actually that it's definable for the audience really, but it comes from an intention. I think either an intention to connect or an intention to be a storyteller or even an intention just to have fun with the audience. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering if for you there is an intention and maybe it changes from song to song.
Look, it does change from song to song for me, because I do feel like it's my job to tell a story, yeah, and I need to connect to the lyric, and it's so much easier if the lyric is something that came out of me, because I know, well, I might not know when I write the song, but I figure it out where it was coming from as the song goes. um and you connect to something that is that deeply entrenched in your being,
Mhm.
even if it is just fun. It doesn't have to be, a big, heavy, emotional thing. The emotion just can be joy,
Yeah.
um, which is one of those emotions that a lot of the rough and tumble stuff is,
Yeah.
really joyous. Because I'm at this place where I have this amazing band, and I'm, recording with them, so, and writing for the band, so a
Mhm.
lot of it is joy. There's a few different emotions in the songs, but there's a lot of joy there.
Yeah, it is a very fun album and you are a very fun live band. But when you started writing those songs for yourself at 26, 28 years of age, was it because you wanted to express something or was it more just I'm going to see what happens with this songwriting, maybe I can tell a story, maybe I can't.
Well, I think I was just taking a stab at it, thinking, okay, well, I've been analyzing songs for a long time.
Mm.
As a singer, you analyze songs because you are trying to connect to a lyric. You're trying to connect to the emotion of the story. You're trying to make an audience feel.
Mhm.
Um, and then when I started songwriting, I was like, well, the hardest part was figuring out if I had anything to say, and what would that be, and in what genre. Like that
Yeah.
was really tricky, because I'd dabbled in just about everything. So I was like, well, who am I? I had this like big existential crisis. Like, so, it took me a little while to figure that out. And, you know, like to this day, I still think I'm, you know, figuring it out. I don't fit in any one place. And, you know, sometimes I'll write a song and I've got this thing I really need to get out, this what I really want to say. And sometimes I'll write a song because I heard someone say something that just sounded like a cool song lyric. And then I'm like, well, I wonder what that could be. Like, where could we go on that journey? So yeah, the reason for the songwriting is different every time. But I eventually, you know, all I want to do is connect to, okay, so this is what we're saying. Great. I just want to connect to this and see if I can convey that on stage or in a very small room that doesn't even really have a stage. There's been a lot of those over the years.
No, I know you like Joni Mitchell because you did a podcast about Joni Mitchell, but which other songwriters have influenced you the most?
John Prine is a huge influence. I really love, I love Hayes Carl. He's a singer songwriter out of Texas. I mean, Bonnie Raitt is a big influence. Like honestly, there's so many. Like I mean, I could just rattle them off. I mean, Lucinda Williams, Patty Griffin. You know, just you know, I I'm just I'm a fan of songs.
Mhm.
Like I think I think going back, you know, in my education, when I had this really hardcore Shakespeare teacher when I was in college, when I was in uni.
Okay.
And he made us pick everything apart and analyze it so that we could get an idea of the language. And I think I bring that kind of pick it apart, analyze it attitude to songwriting. So I just get absolutely bowled over by good songwriting. And there's, you know, the greats out there. There's so many, you know, I mean, obviously Bob Dylan, obviously there's so many obvious choices. I'm a big fan of Paul Kelly since I moved to Australia and learned about his songwriting. I love Casey's writing. I think
Yeah.
she's so great. I love Melody Moko's writing. Wow. Greta Zill and I are great friends and I love her writing. You know, I'm really spoiled for choice.
I think we all are. Actually, we're very, very lucky in this country and obviously from elsewhere. I'm curious about that Shakespeare teacher you had. Were there specific plays you were studying, or was it Shakespeare as a
It
body of
was
work?
Shakespeare. It was an entire Shakespeare course.
Right.
I mean, I went to school for theater, so we had to dive really deep into Shakespeare. And he was ruthless. He basically he was super British, and he'd call you stupid to your face, and like you
Right.
just have to wear that and go, okay, thanks, Steve.
Yeah, right.
But it really encouraged me to not just see the surface of things, to go deeper. And I think he changed the way I think. So yeah.
Oh, that is a profound influence for a teacher to have.
Steve McConnell, if you're out there, thanks. Thanks for being mean to me.
Helps keep the scalpel sharp or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly.
So when I first heard about the Rough and Tumble, and however how many musicians are in it, I thought, yeah, I think Jen Mize needs about that many musicians to actually match her as a performer and as a singer. There are seven, I believe, in addition to you.
There's eight.
Oh,
Yeah, seven in addition to me. Eight total. Eight with
okay.
me. Yes, seven in addition. Yes.
Yes. So
It's a wild.
how did this concept come to be?
Well, I knew I wanted to have a bigger band. And then what happened is I started songwriting for the record and got together with Jeremy Edwards.
Mhm.
I don't know if you know him. He's a great singer songwriter. We worked together at the Dag Sheep station, and for a long time, a lot of our mutual friends have been saying, "I think you guys should maybe write a song together. I think you'd get along pretty well, and I, you know, it'd be a cool combination." And so when we eventually started teaching together, we're like, yeah, maybe we'll do that. Okay, cool. And then eventually we did. And there was one songwriting weekend, and I think we wrote like 4 or 5 songs in like 2 days, 3 days, maybe. And at the end of that songwriting session, Jez said to me, he's like, so can I be in the band? And I was like, well, yeah. Do you want to be in the band? Cool. Well, I was like, you have to meet Mitch Power. He's my ride or die. Mitch will be in everything next to me if he wants it. He's, you know, he's got first role refusal, I guess. And then so at that point, I had two gun guitarists in my band,
Mhm.
and that's a lot of guitar.
Yeah,
So
true.
you need to break that up with something. Obviously, rhythm section, Zach Watson and Steve Fernley. I mean, legend Steve Fernley and Zach Watson is amazing. And so now I had to split up just all the guitar sound, and especially if I played, on some of them,
Yeah.
with three guitars across the stage. So I went to my friend Andy Schrav, who's a great keyboard player, a great musician overall, plays fiddle, can play a bunch of things, is a great singer songwriter in his own right, and added him to the band. And then at that point, it was really starting to be pretty funky. So
Right.
horns felt like it felt like the right next step. And we were writing that kind of music. So yeah, it became eight in a really organic way.
Yeah.
But trying to book eight people all at the same time is not easy. And the cost of getting eight people to, go to all these different places. I mean, we're a new band and we're quite an outlay to get us to come. So it's one of those, our gig, we don't have as many gigs as a lot of other bands, but we're working on that, and we think it'll change soon.
I was even impressed with the band photo, which had all of you in the same place, it seemed. I was like, wow, that was a feat of engineering in itself.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a like a gig where we had just finished the record, and I said, let's have a little launch gig in Brisbane. Everybody come up and we'll have a gig and we'll get the photos done at the same time and we'll do all this other stuff because I had to get them all together. So yeah, it was one of those things where you're like, okay, logistics, let's get everybody in the same spot. And yeah, it went well. It was a pretty good photo session.
And well, since you have the photos, you can now just keep using them, because getting all of you together for a photo session again may be tricky.
I think it'll happen when we do the next record,
Yeah.
which is in June. So well, hopefully we'll get another photo session going in June.
So you started writing songs for the band, and you had some with Jeremy. Were you still writing as the band was assembling, or did you actually have a brace of songs by the time everyone was in place?
Look, I was still writing while the band was assembling. I was still writing, like, a few of the songs on the record are songs that I wrote on my own and then
Mhm.
brought to the band. A few of the songs are, co-writes with Jeremy or Mitch or my friend Mark Sholtez. This next record that we're working on now, I just got done with a songwriting weekend with Zach Watson,
Mhm.
and we wrote three. I don't know if they'll all make the record, but we wrote three in like 3 days. So yeah, I believe in the co-write with those guys because I believe in those guys. Like, they're all such amazing musicians. They all have such amazing take on music, and I kind of feel like if I take my superpowers and I take their superpowers and we put it together, like, the sum of its parts is
Mhm.
going to be so much bigger and more amazing than anything I can totally do on my own, or
Mhm.
and hopefully anything they could do, or it'd be at least different from anything
Mhm.
we could all do on our own.
Now the album does indeed have such a vibe to it, and it's just one of those albums that I listen to and go, "Oh yes, absolutely." But there are some heartbreakers on there. Bukowski in particular is a bit of a heartbreaker, so you have some light and shade. But I guess you're not just a party band, is what that says, because
Yeah, I
it can
mean,
sound like a party in parts.
we are a party band, but we're a party band full of songwriters.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is, like, I chose these guys not only for their musical prowess but for their personalities and the kind of hearts that they have, because we don't all live in the same state.
Mhm.
So I mean, getting together is really difficult, but at the same time, these are the people I think bring the most to the table in every way. And there's a bunch of real good songwriters in the bunch.
Mhm.
And I mean, honestly, the Wilson Pickers gave me the idea.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, there's a band full of great songwriters that, made real magic together. They make real magic because they're all so, their intentions when they do something is so cool. And if you're listening to a Danny Whitcomb song or an Andrew Morris song, a Ben songs or Symes songs, it's all, each thing has a little bit of different variation.
Mhm.
and they bring so much to each other's songs. You can hear it when it originated, say a song originated with Danny and he
Right.
took that to Sign, and then they finished it. You can hear it.
Mhm.
So, and that's the kind of thing that I really wanted to get with the Rough and Tumble. I wanted, people be able to, people that know Jeremy's music, they're going to go, I bet Jeremy brought that like half finished to Jen,
Yeah,
and then
right.
they finished it together. Yeah,
Is that what happened with Hail Mary? Because the latest single is written by the two of you.
it is. It actually originated with me, that one. I'd written, I think I'd written the chorus, and I think I'd written the first verse. I knew it needed a bridge, and I knew I wanted the bridge to be super cool. And I don't know if I had written the second verse yet, but when I got with Jazz, I was like, okay, so this song needs a little jazz magic. um you know what do you reckon? Let's write a bridge, and then we'll go back and write verse 2.
Mhm.
um with that bridge in mind, like, okay, so here's the bridge. He's going to sing. What happens if you sing?
Right.
And now it's become this kind of duet between a couple who's seen some years and is trying to keep a hold of that vitality and that lust for life and that need to continue growing, even though you're supposed to be done because you're a certain age. And you
Yeah.
know it's and then once we put that bridge in, verse 2 kind of wrote itself. We were just like, yep, that feels right. So yeah, I like that process where you take a bit of what you have and you bring it to someone else. And
Mhm.
we'd done that with other songs on the record, so it was only fair that I return the favor and bring something to Jez.
Do you write on Zoom or in a room together, or is it sending each other the file back and forth until you have what you want?
Look, it can go all those ways, depending on who's where when. Like when I wrote Out the Back of the House with Mitch Power, he sent me this really couple really great, like, hooks, like guitar riffy hooks. And that was one of them. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm vibing on this one. This one feels dope. What do we want this to be about? And we started, hashing things out, and I hashed a bunch of it out on my own. And then I took a little bit of that to Mark Sholtez, and we hashed some more, and we put that to Mitch, and he was like, yep, I dig it. Like, so, and that's, hopefully that's this how this next record gets written. So the writing process that I just had with Zach, I had a song that I wanted us to work on, and he brought two. And we finished all three, and you know, feel really good about it. Feel really good, and I've got a lot of writing to do with a lot of the fellas. There's a lot of half-written songs on a list of
Right.
mine, and I know each of them have some ideas. So we're gonna be writing like crazy.
Well, and maybe with enough for a double album's worth.
Okay, don't get ahead of me yet. A double album with, I think maybe we'll do record 2.
Okay.
Maybe record 3 will be a double
Put them
album.
on ice. Yeah.
I don't know if we're there yet.
Yeah.
Maybe we are. I don't want to underestimate us.
Yeah. I also realized I said just a party band earlier, which could sound like a pejorative term, and I didn't at all mean it like that, because I actually think it's super hard to entertain people consistently and with high quality. You know what I mean? Like having a band there with a particular vibe and a particular groove. And I saw you most recently in Beer Garden at the Tamworth Hotel during the Tamworth Country Music Festival, and I
Man,
just
it was
walked in and it was
hot
like
that
this.
day.
Oh, it was hot. It was hot. But I just walked in. I just thought, yeah, like this is fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, the party band vibe, it's one of those things, like, when I get to see other party bands, I really enjoy myself. And I just kept thinking to myself, like, what happens if, I'm on stage and it's not, you know, prior to the Rough and Tumble, a lot of my shows were these really serious singer-songwriter things that were, and I believe in writing the truth. Like, so some things are so heavy, and I love that stuff. I love doing singer-songwriter rounds, but sometimes I just want to cut loose and have a good time, and drink a ginger beer in the Tamworth Beer Garden. And I was thinking to myself for a long time, watching all these other bands that I love, all my friends, going, yeah, what does our version of that look like? What does, and that kind of led me to wanting to put the Rough and Tumble together for sure.
Now, of course, the name Rough and Tumble can mean certain things. I'm wondering how you chose it for the band.
Well, it's something I say. It's in my like colloquialisms. It's something I say all the time. So I would, be like, oh, that was a little rough and tumble. It was a little, it wasn't like when things aren't perfect,
Right.
but they're, they are what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like the ethos of the band isn't, we're not trying to be perfection. We're just trying to have fun and enjoy ourselves. And because the band is, again, made up of such great musicians,
Mhm.
bar is set really high for fun for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Fun for us is like, yeah, that's cool. Um, so yeah, I mean, I basically like said to the fellas, like from this point forward, everything we do, I really don't care if it gets great reviews or if it doesn't, or if it does, all that stuff. It's nice. It's really nice. It's beautiful. But if our focus is to make ourselves happy,
Mhm.
I think we're going to make our fans happy, or, would be fans, our new fans, our, any audience we play in front of. I think they're going to have a good time because we're having a good time.
Yeah. And as you said, the bar is high, and I think therefore the possibility of perfection is definitely there because there's just so much quality in that band.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about perfect. I know about good.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like we're going to be good and consistently good, and take our eyes off take the stress out of it, take the pressure out of it, and just write the best songs we can write and make those arrangements as good as we can make them and have the best shows. And in having the best shows, the only marker is, did we have fun?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, did we have fun? Cool. And I really think it's that simple. I think if we're having a good time, our audience is going to have a good time too.
Absolutely. Now, did you have fun in that Tamworth heat?
Oh my gosh. Ooh, it was hot.
Mm.
And I'd had a big week already. So I was a little vocally tired, if I'm not, if I can be honest with you, but I had a great time. Like, it was super fun. I was soaking wet after that gig. Like, just so you could wring me out. It was it was a lot, but it was so much fun, and we love the crowd. And I love the Tamworth. It's
Mhm.
you know it's a home away from home for me, and has been for a long time. And that was my first time playing with Rough and Tumble there, so it'd been on the radar for a lot of years.
Right.
Luke and I have been talking about it for a long time, so it felt like we came home.
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know the venue, it is an outdoor venue in the beer garden and in the 38, 39-degree days. And
Six
you're on stage
p.m.
with instruments. And I think there is some lighting even during the daytime. So it's warm.
Yeah, it's warm. And the stage has like a tin roof.
Oh,
So you're kind of cooking, and then that heat is being radiated at you as well. So I mean, everyone does it. I'm not complaining. Like, everyone deals with it. We all kind of, we all enjoy ourselves and sweat together, and make sure we have a little ginger beer on hand.
and it is a good opportunity for you to get the Rough and Tumble together because it's probably the one festival where everyone's likely to be in the same place.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. I mean, getting the band together, there's actually, these guys all play with a lot of other, especially country artists. They all kind of cross over. They're all in a bunch of different bands. And it was that thing where I kept going to music festivals, and I turn up and, oh, he's here, they're here. Oh, great. He's here. She's here. Okay, cool. You know? Um, and going, well, it's not that crazy to try to put something like this together. Yes, it's a lot of juggling and it's a lot of logistics, but the payoff is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you and Jeremy teaching at the DAG songwriting retreat together. So obviously teaching is part of what you do, and so is radio hosting because you have a radio show, Three Chords and the Truth with Paddy McHugh. So how
Yeah.
long has that been going?
Oh, wow. The teaching's been going for, about, I wanna say about 6 years now, maybe 7 with COVID, life. I can't keep track of anything, like, it's like life stopped for a while. I taught at the DAG, mentored at the DAG for a long time, and I've started mentoring at the Song Muster, which is up in
Mhm.
Gympie,
Yeah.
and, I'm there with Link Phelps and Melody Moko and my friend Claire and Gavin Carfoot, and we're there bringing up students, both young and not so young anymore, and we're just having a good time songwriting.
Mhm.
And today, today, I got asked by someone else to do a songwriting retreat that I'm not allowed to announce, but
Right.
today that happened. So you'll find out soon enough, but I'm not allowed to announce it yet. But yeah, so songwriting retreats are just, they're food for the soul. But they really, I mean, it sounds woo woo, but it really is. Like I get filled up trying to help other songwriters achieve their best songs. It makes me feel, I don't know, I feel like I can be a little bit of a Gandalf for people in songwriting, or Yoda,
Yeah.
for a heartbeat. I mean, I don't think I, have earned the sensei role or anything, but if I can guide a young songwriter trying to get out what they want to say and tip them out to a new way of doing this, or a possible idea here and there, how to approach something if they've come up against, the wall of songwriter's block, and
Mm.
how I go about getting around that, and keeping them believing in themselves, and knowing that just like everything else, the time you put in is going to greatly affect what you get out.
Mhm.
So even if you're frustrated and you're not getting things right away, just keep hacking at it and go hard, and listen to songs and analyze songs and figure out, well, I don't know why that works. Let me figure out why.
Mhm.
Read books, all that stuff, listen to your favorite songwriters talk about songwriting. Get to these songwriting camps, because man, they're fun.
Yeah.
They're good. Yeah.
It always sounds like they are. I mean, and also just in terms of the role you play for those writers, my sense of you as an artist is very much that you are in service to the song, to the art, and there's that. So even though one has to have ego to be any kind of artist, because you have to believe that you know what you're doing enough to be able to do it, there is that thing I was talking about earlier, the indefinable quality of your voice, I think is the sign of someone who's trying to serve the song the best they can, and wanting to serve it to the audience. So that carries on to being a teacher of songwriting, because you're wanting to serve the song that that writer is bringing to you. It's not about you and your ego. It's not about you putting a stamp on it. It's actually, how can we get the best out of this song?
Right, especially if I'm trying to write a song with a student, and this is something that they want for them, like it's their story, they want to record it. I want to make, I don't want to superimpose my Jen Mize-ness on it. My wisdom, if I can help them find the thing, that's my goal. Sometimes I superimpose myself on things, and I'm not meaning to. Like there's a bit, there's something that comes out and it's just, oh wow, okay, yeah, sorry about that. That's turned a little my direction. Should we change that? Should we, are you comfortable with that? Um, but yeah, the service of the song, the idea, the songwriter themselves, if they have a sound or a genre, or if they've been going, they've got, oh, I've come with this idea and I have all these types of songs, but I've never written a country waltz. I'll go, okay, let's write a waltz, let's do it. Like,
Yeah.
awesome. I see that as like just so much fun, and what a challenge to just use your brain, use your noggin, and work your skill set
Mhm.
into something that has nothing to do with you, other
Mhm.
than trying to trying to help somebody see their own potential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just from talking to artists like you and observing over the years, I do think the DAG, for example, and the Song Muster coming through now have contributed a lot to our body of songs, our national body of songs. There are so many great collaborations that have come out of those, and surprising collaborations, because I know the DAG, it's pulling a name out of a hat for the
It
artists.
is. It is. And that's the thing is like a lot of these, the DAG and the other songwriting camps, the Songmuster, I think everyone's just going, okay, well, let's put these two people in a space or these three people in a space. And then let's throw these ideas around. And it's the song, like I love the fact that whoever you're co-writing with, it's the song that only exists with those people in the songwrite. Like it can't be, if you took one person, switch them out, you wouldn't get the same thing. So I like that. Let's, Wonder Twins unite, combine our powers. Like what, like what is this going to be? I don't know. It's going to be something utterly of its own. And that's, for me, that's like, okay, well, if you do that, there's only so many chords and there's only so many ideas in the world. And but there's this infinite amount of combinations of people that you can bring together. And then that's the thing that makes this song special and that gives it space to breathe. It's these minds, these hearts, these pasts, these people's experiences coming together to do this thing. And each person's like superpower, the thing that they're, like this person might be great at just these beautiful lilting melodies, and this person might just be a lyric person. Or this person's a concept genius and comes up with these, wonderful metaphors and, really interesting phrasing. And you go, okay, well, that song wouldn't be that song without those people there to do that. It's really special. And, like those camps, they afford the opportunity for those things to happen. And then also put you with people who can guide those things, who really know their craft and their art and have good hearts and aren't there to serve their own ego. Yeah. They're there to get the best.
Well, I think you just made the best argument ever in favor of co-writing, but also probably people watching this now clamoring to sign up for songwriting camps.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is like you go, okay, well, what version of this, like you can write all these songs you can write songs on your own, utterly on your own. And I encourage that. You should. I mean, some of my best songs are songs I wrote by myself in a room with a real sense of what I wanted to say. And it's kind of precious to me. Bukowski is one of those songs. Like I wrote that all by me onesies and was like, this is really important to me. But those songs that you write and co-writes, they breathe and they have life and they have someone else's life conjoined in there, and they can be such beautiful things. So yeah, I'm a firm believer in both. I like all of it.
Well, it seems like you have a rich year ahead of you. You're writing songs for the next Rough and Tumble album. That album will be recorded, but you're also participating in these songwriting camps. So is the rest of your year pretty much mapped out at this stage?
It is for the most part. There are some holes. I've left some holes for some extra things. But yeah, I also am like at the moment, we've just brought out Hail Mary, our last single that we hung on to after the first record of the Rough and Tumble. Because it took so long to put out the entire Rough and Tumble record, that whole time I was songwriting like mad. I was part of Sam Hawksley's songwriting song club.
Yes, the now very famous song club.
I was in song club for like 9 months.
Okay.
I wrote a song every week for 9 months. Okay. And so in between this Hail Mary and bringing out the next Rough and Tumble record in our recording process, I've been working on a solo record. So I am going to be splitting the solo record up into 2 EPs. One, I think, is going to show a little bit more of my country side, and the other is showing a little bit more of my blues side. I plan to release the country EP before the Rough and Tumble record comes out. Okay. And then the blues EP after the Rough and Tumble record comes out.
Right.
And I'm producing that myself.
Right.
So it's a lot. I've decided, I'm 45 years old. I might as well back myself at this point and just go for it. So yeah, that's all happening.
Well, that kind of generates more questions for me about you producing, but I think I should hold on to them until the EP comes out.
Yeah,
hopefully I get to talk to you then.
Because, I mean, I'm just kind of, it's kind of like the same as the idea of Hail Mary. I'm just going for it.
Yeah.
I'm just having a punt. I'm not letting my fear of what others think, my need for validation, all that stuff. I mean, you get to a certain age and you're like, oh, I wasted so much time caring about what everyone thought of me. And you go, I could have just been having a great time if I'd let that go. So now I'm fully letting it go. I'm just like, well, I hope you guys like it, and that's cool. But if it's not for you, that's cool too. That doesn't matter.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing what the letting go Jen Mize sounds like. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's yeah. If you haven't heard her yet, who knows what's coming?
That's good. But in the meantime, yes, there is Hail Mary, the last single off the inaugural Rough and Tumble album. And Jen Mize, so interesting to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, Sophie, it's been a joy. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you.